What up? It's your boy Comedic Energy, and this is Dirty Mouth Radio. Dirty Mouth Radio, produced by Livewire Sound and Entertainment.
It's your girl Golden.
It's your boy Cray.
And we got a special guest, man. We brought him back. It's been a minute. My man is up in here. I let him introduce himself right now.
Oh, man. I ain't new to it. I'm true to it. It's your man, Papa Lou. You heard me.
My boy Papa Lou back. Man. Growing, yo.
I'm glad to be back at the table.
Ah, yeah, bro. It's always open to you, brother. You already know that, man.
I appreciate that.
Man, so the last time we had you on here was February of 2020.
Interesting times.
Very interesting. Yo, we're going to be talking about that for years.
We always riding around with face mask hanging from the rearview mirror and the gear shift column.
Yeah, you know it.
You doing
you know it.
Get halfway to the engine. Oh shit, I forgot my mask. Hey man, I'm telling you, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, I can't tell you how many times I say, man, you know what, fuck it. If I gotta go all the way back to the car for this, I might as well go home. I try again tomorrow. That's wild.
We're gonna be 80 years old talking about that to the grandkids, man. But yeah, man. It was war out there, yo. Like that joint was all up in the air. Like you breathe and you caught that shit. Yeah, I caught it. I had it about twice.
Hey, boy.
Like, yeah, y'all youngins don't know nothing about that and shit. You know?
All the time.
Man. But back at that time when we had that episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was just coming off, the Kobe situation, RIP to him.
Yeah.
But we were talking about the Hustlenomics with the book by Ash Cash, pretty much highlighting Nipsey and how he was doing his thing. And that episode, we introduced somebody who is kind of like really big now. I'm not trying to say that we credited that, but you introduced Wall Street Trapper.
Oh yeah, right? that brother has grown.
Yeah. From that time to now, the man is like out here. He's household name out here.
Yeah, moving and grooving. To the point where he's got the algorithm ads, man, through like social media.
Yes.
YouTube. I'm honestly, it's it is one of those things, man. It's because we see that kind of thing with so many different things. Mm-hmm. And to see that with someone who is, how can I put it? There are a lot of people who really present or talk about this education of Black wealth and understanding finance, but they're not really actually giving you nothing. They just want you to buy product. Yeah. They're not really giving you the tool or showing you how to utilize the tool. Whereas I just really love his stance, and he really takes financial nomenclature and really breaks it down to where people of our diaspora can understand it.
That's real.
And I think one of the greatest things is, understanding that I'm a realist, right? Like the way life is, the only way we know up is we got to know what down is. And so, and because of that, not everybody, a lot of people just don't necessarily aspire to be millionaire. And I respect that. There are some people who are just like, yo, I just want to be able to live, at my means, have a little fun, cool. And even if that's you, one of the greatest tools that he presents is to flip the mindset from being so much of a consumer to being more of an investor and some sort of ownership, because not everybody's necessarily cut out to be a business owner, but owning a few shares of your favorite products, Nike, Louis Vuitton, just to name a few, Hennessy for those that drink that, being, a partial owner in that, to me, that's a flex.
Yeah.
That's
it truly is. Yeah.
So,
that's real.
But yeah, that brother is booming, man, in a good way.
Man. since then, I had joined his little community. He got online with the investing. I know for me personally, the growth from 2020 to now has just been tremendous.
Right.
And that goes from him to, I think the last time I brought it up, I talked about Derek Grayson, his board game. You know, him. Now, I found a few other people. And one guy that I really follow closely. Not to say that I don't follow Trap closely or anything like that, but this guy right here, I kind of follow him every single day. His name is Armando Pantoja. Okay. And he goes by the name Tall Guy Tycoon.
Oh, okay.
Now that guy, he's a software engineer by trade, right? And he got kind of into finance, and then he got into crypto. He kind of sold his software company for millions of dollars, and then plunged head first into the stocks in the crypto game. But I've made quite a good amount of money with him. But he breaks things down to, it's not really always a fundamental level, but it's on a level where he shows you what's getting ready to happen. You see what I'm saying? So I guess it is a fundamental level, but he won't break it down to you always to a elementary school level. You kind of got to do your research with him. So he's like, I'm going to show you this play right here. I'm going to tell you this play is going to do something, but it's up to you to do the research on this company to see how long it's going to give you this uptrend and how good it's going to go. You see what I'm saying? So he released a book called The Strategic Millionaire, right? And I'll put it all on Instagram and all that stuff. This is the book right here. If you see it.
Nope.
Not coming out. There it is. The Strategic Millionaire, right? So it's the Strategic Millionaire, 7 Laws of Wealth the Rich Don't Tell You. And people are talking about it. It was a bestseller on Amazon for a few weeks straight. And a lot of people want to call it the new Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Okay. But the man is, in my opinion, I feel like he's a phenomenal person. And like, I joined his course. I think it's called Chestnut Checkers. And, you know, you pay monthly, but it's one of those things where you can go to his events for free. He throws events all over. I think it's a lot of value in that. And I just want to say from this point, from 2020 to now, I've grown a lot, and I have to give you credit for it because the information that you gave me in that episode is what made me start really understanding how things work financially with the stock market and crypto to get me to where I am now. So I got to give you credit for that, bro.
Oh man, well, I appreciate that, brother. I'm just, I live by a simple principle: iron sharpens iron, right? Yeah. And also, you know, I was taught, I go back to my church roots. At the end of the service, you know, I grew up in the Methodist church. At the end of the service, we had these things. I was an acolyte. We used to light candles and then take the light and take it out. But the symbolism of that was to take the light of God, Jesus, whoever you believe in, out into the world. I believe that principle is not just a biblical, spiritual, religious principle. You can apply that principle to anything. When you have become knowledgeable on anything, it's not yours to hold on to and hoard. You are now tasked with the duty to now take that knowledge and transfer it on to at least one other person. Right? And that's very important that we have to do. So, hey, bro, I'm just giving out the game as I get it.
I appreciate it, bro.
Simple as that, man. Simple as that.
Man.
And you know, going back to that episode, one of the things, and this the brother that you're presenting just now, I live by this principle. Same thing. I said it in the last episode. We talking about Warren Buffett a little bit and how you can never find a quote or an article or anything where he's been quoted when they say, well, Mr. Buffett, what should people invest in? He never really gives an exact stock or anything like that. He always says the same thing: invest in knowledge, because intrinsic knowledge is invaluable.
Yeah.
And the principle that this brother that you're speaking of how he gives you enough to pique your interest to make you go and do some legwork, do some research. Because here's the thing. Can you truly be invested in something with your finances if you haven't invested in it with your energy? Like just energy alone.
Mm-hmm. That's real.
You know,
Warren Buffett definitely always.
Yeah.
Now Warren Buffett always mentions how he only invests in companies that he believes in and completely understands. So that definitely correlates.
He took the time to understand. He did the work and the research to learn about that company, about that index fund, whatever it is. And if it lines up with his personal belief and how he operates, all right, cool. I'll slide him a couple dollars.
Yeah.
And he invests in a lot of dividend stocks as well. Most of his portfolio is dividend based, which is really interesting to me.
Hey, that's that mailbox money, cuz.
That man is the man is worth $115 billion. You know, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the thing, if you look at that play, though, I mean, that's a very strategic play. To have as much money invested in, when we talk about the market, right? Stocks that pay dividends. I mean, it really is like, okay, I'm going. An even swap should never be a swindle. So, if I have a company and I want people to invest in it, because the more that people invest, the better I perform in the market. Why would I not reward those people who went out on a risk? Because it's all a risk. This is all a gamble. And say, you know what? For you investing in me, taking the faith in me that I know how to run this company to make it profitable. Hey, man, here's a little something extra for that. Hey, I'm as many dividends as possible. Because at that point, you don't have to rely on physically trading the stock, buy low, sell high, just to try to make money.
Right.
And stocks that offer great dividends tend to be the best performing stocks for longevity. They ebb and flow throughout the market, but overall they have good performance because people tend to stay for the long haul when there are going to be benefits to that don't require them to necessarily liquidate all or a portion of what they had to save up to get from the first place. For the average us, right, that go out every day and work for a living in some sort, be it whether you are a W-2 earner or if you're an entrepreneur, bottom line, you go out, you work for your income. We're not playing with Warren Buffett's type of money yet. We'll put that in the atmosphere, right? We're not playing with that type of money yet. However, the money that we are playing with, like we had to go work for that. So I know me personally, I am more comfortable with investing in something that I don't necessarily have to. It took me 6 months to save up, or 6 months of partial buying, right? Fractional buying in order to get that one share. To then, the only way I'm gonna make money is to sell that whole one share when it might make me maybe an extra $25. Nah, bro, I'd rather be able to hold on to it, let it grow, let it mature, see what compounding interest looks like. And get a little dividend, every quarter. Give me a quarter every quarter,
That's real. That's real. So, like, what, I brought up something on a previous episode, and I talked about, pretty much, I don't want to say hacks, but I feel like the wealthy, in my opinion, I feel like the wealthy use hacks to their benefit, and that's how they get their money. Not necessarily in the stock market or anything like that, but I'm talking about day-to-day type thing, right? So I brought up in the last episode about the whole going first class type of situation, right? So I say that to say, what are some hacks that you think will benefit us as the middle class that the wealthy may use on a regular basis that we don't know?
Well, prior to us hitting the record button, one of the things I was talking about is when it comes to travel, we all love to travel. Or most of us that love to travel is a hobby of yours. Mm-hmm. And how to strategically travel. That's the key. Mm-hmm. And like myself too, I work for traveling is part of my work now. But if you travel at least 3 times out of the year, and you are not signed up for any sort of like rewards program with a particular hotel chain or an airline, you're missing out on a lot of good benefits, because those programs, you earn points for doing the thing that you love to do. You love to travel. Don't just pay the hotel, but like get something back. Once again, equal reciprocity. Mm-hmm. If I'm gonna give Hilton $100 a night, just throwing out a figure, I want some points back that I can potentially use to cash in later on down the line, where I'm not having to come out my pocket for that $100 a night in the next year or so. So, those credit cards that are specific to an airline or a hotel chain that offer you double, triple, sometimes up to 10 times the points. Get it. And that would be your travel credit card. Because a lot of people, even if you're not fortunate to necessarily work a job where you extensively travel, but the average person, they take at least one big trip a year. So you saving that money up. Cool. Once you have that money saved up, I wouldn't use my debit card to pay for it. I'd get that airline card or that hotel card, and I'd pay for everything for that entire trip. If I know I've budgeted for $5,000, let's use a number, I'm gonna spend 5 racks to go party my ass off in Cancun. Mm-hmm. That's the Mecca. Everybody love Cancun, and that's not a judgment statement. Mm-hmm. Cancun is fun. Live it up. Mm-hmm. But if you know you're going to spend 5 racks, don't give them 5 racks cash. Give them 5 racks on the credit card, and then pay the cards off within the billing cycle. You earn 10 times the points with either the hotel or the airline, or both, if you do it right. You got the cash, pay the cards off within the billing cycle so you're not getting hit with the interest. And really, you won 3 times. The reason why I say 3 times, so the first time you won is you earned a whole bunch of points that you can utilize later on. You won the second time because you paid the credit card off without a big interest hit, and credit score just keep going up. Yeah. And then the third time is you actually, you enjoyed the shit out of your trip. You had a good time. You partied it up. So, I mean, the travel hack is one that, and that's kind of old news. People who have been paid to travel, they know it, they live by it. This is what they do on a day-to-day. But, even, I give you another one within travel. So, one of the easiest ways when you look at someone who has that like platinum elite status with any airline, they always get upgraded in the first class and all that. They love when a flight gets oversold. And the reason being is because what happens is they paid for the flight with their Citibank One World Platinum card to begin with, right? So they already got 5 times the points and rewards for buying the ticket with that. Gave them a free upgrade first class. Flight gets oversold. Now, this is the key. We all work in some capacity at an airport. Currently on this show that we're on right now. How many times have y'all heard that announcement? Any passengers who have flexible travel plans and are willing to what? Give up their seat assignment in exchange for a voucher. And the voucher will be valued up to blah, blah, blah. Cool. Look at who runs to that desk the fastest. It's usually the executive platinum person. They're not in a rush. Okay, I'll go an hour later, 2 hours later. They'll give up their first class seat on that flight because they know they're going to get another one a little bit later anyway. But the voucher that they get. So now, in addition to all of the points that they're going to use for other travel, they just got the value of 2 round trip tickets later on down the line. Wow. So insert their status that allows them to upgrade any ticket. Because the voucher that they're getting is not a first class ticket, but their platinum status allows them to upgrade any ticket to get put on the upgrade list. And the more status you have within those programs, the higher up on the upgrade list you get. So that right there, a hack that don't even cost you nothing is most of us, we try to plan a trip where we have at least 2 extra days, maybe a day on the front end and a day on the back end for like shit to happen. There goes your travel flexibility. I got an extra day anyway.
Yeah.
I'll kick it for an extra hour for the next flight. They should do. You know? And if you got the right credit card and I will let people do, because they're out there. You can research. You literally go to Google. Credit cards that give you access to airport lounges. Some cards are specific to an airline's lounge, and then other cards, they just give you access to all of them. I'm going to hang out at the airport for an extra hour in the lounge. I'm going to drink the free beer and the free wine. If I'm lucky, today is guacamole day and they doing guacamole made to order, because yes, this happens in American Airlines flagship lounge. I've had it. It's actually pretty good. But yeah, I hang out at the airport in the lounge for another hour while I wait on my next flight. And I'm still getting to my destination at the same time. Wow. And so now my next trip, I'm gonna just cash in the voucher, maybe throw in a couple hundred points to upgrade, and I'm winning again. So the travel hacks are real, like really real. I was talking earlier too, like about the like specifically like the Hilton Diamond, the Hilton Honors Program, Marriott Bonvoy program. Those are 2 programs that allow you to gift your status. So you reach the status of Diamond, they allow you to gift that status to a homie. So like me, I got Diamond at Hilton. My work homie got Diamond at Marriott. We gifted each other the Diamond. Now we both earned Diamond status points in both reward programs. So when we go to travel for fun, you just see who's offering the best buyback at that time. You know, okay, it might cost me 20,000 points on Marriott or 40,000 points on Hilton. Well, I'm gonna go to Marriott. I'm gonna give them 20,000, get me a week somewhere for the free, and rock out. So the travel hack. Well, I'm sorry, bro.
No. So the diamond status you talk about, is it just offering points, or does it offer any other utilities with that status?
So mainly it's points, right? You earning the points is what gets you the status, right? And earning the points is a combination, speaking specifically within like the hotel industry. Right. It's a combination of bookings themselves, and then how many nights are within a booking. And then if you spend like food and bed, like if you eat at the resort or the hotel, if you go and have drinks at the hotel bar, paying for that bill through your room. So charging it to the room that the credit card that you have on file for incidentals will pay the bill at the end of the stay. That gives you double and triple points towards the stay. It's the same cost. If you go buy $20 beers at a hotel bar, because hotel bars are just outrageously expensive for no reason, but if you're landlocked and that's your only option, well, go buy the beer. But instead of paying for it out of your pocket, put it on the room. And now that $60 you spend at the bar translates to sometimes an extra 5,000 points. Mm. You see what I'm saying? Mm. So, like I said, it goes back to what I say, an even swap should never be a swindle.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Lyft has a partnership with Hilton Honors. So, when you book your Lyft and you link your Hilton Honors account, you get points for booking Lyft that go towards your Hilton Honors points. So there's a lot of hacks out there, man. A lot of it goes back to kind of what we talked about at the top of the episode, is people taking the time to like really educate themselves about what they might be signing up for and what they should sign up for.
Are these some of the topics that you talk about? Well, how about you? If you don't mind, do you mind telling the listeners what it is that you do, like, to gain this type of experience and this type of knowledge?
Yeah. So my background, I mean, I work for American Airlines. I've been there for going on 16 years now, but I got heavily involved with our union. It's a unionized job. There are a lot of different sectors of unionism within the airline industry, and my work group, cargo specialists, we are unionized, and I got heavily involved with the union very early. And it's one of those things. I had the ultimate like choice. I could either go the corporate route within AA and or rise through the ranks of the union. And a lot of times within our union leadership positions, the pay is very comparable to those of our corporate counterparts at the airline.
Wow.
And so for me, it was like, okay, I can make the same type of money as a director or managing director for American Airlines. Meanwhile, I can keep my union benefits, my job security, my pension and stuff like that by rising through the ranks of the union. Because once again, make no bones about it, the union is a business itself. And the same way that American Airlines has different sectors of their business that needs people to run it, so do we in the union. So got involved with the union, and I am now currently a district media communications coordinator. Ooh. So in short, I travel around the system and I tell the story of organized labor. Photography, videography, web development. I do run about 8 different websites and about 17 different social media profiles for various local lodges that are part of our district at the IAM. And so that's, I'm fortunate to where I've gotten to experience the travel hacks that I've talked about, because my employment is based on travel. I'm on the road a little over 65% out of the year, which is cool. I enjoy it because, like I said, I'm fortunate. My business travel is expense back to my employer, but because I have my own Hilton Honors number, my own Marriott number, I have my own Hilton American Express card, like all of those are in my name, so I get all the benefit. And my employer expenses the bill on my behalf. And so when I go to travel for my leisure, I got a whole bunch of points racked up that I need to burn off. And so, you know, once again, what I keep saying, an even swap is no swindle.
Right.
And some would say, well, why would your employer, you know, allow you to benefit like that? Because they know the sacrifice that it is to work on the road. I am away from home, away from my beautiful wife quite a bit, even though she be sneaking on these trips, low key. You know what I'm saying? But no, I love it though. Honestly, I would not be able to do the things that I do without her. Like right now, I'm in Vegas at a conference, and these conferences get kind of hectic because we be working, and sometimes, you know, I ain't gonna front, I'm guilty of not eating. And one of the things, you know, when you got a good, strong woman in your life, when she asks you, did you eat today? What you eat today?
Yeah.
And you try to fake it like, oh, I ate, da. And you give you that look like, try again.
Yeah.
Try again. I know you didn't eat. So yeah, man.
That's good, dog. That's impressive, man. That's impressive.
Oh, thank you, brother. Thank you.
Oh, and congratulations, by the way. I don't know how long you've been doing it for, but shoot, I haven't had the opportunity of saying congratulations. So congratulations to you for
thank you, brother.
That, bro. That's dope.
Yeah. So the position was offered to me back in November of last year. Well, let me rephrase. The opportunity was presented. So, and I'm going to give the Waffle House version of this, because in unionism within my union, there are what I like to call three sides of the ball game. You have the administrative side, which is like a local lodge president, like that local lodge executive board, president, vice president, things of that nature. That's all administrative. That's really to make sure that the checkbooks balance and the bills get paid. Then you have the representation side, which is your shop stewards on the floor, your district reps, what we call a AGC, a general chair. That's all right. Those are the guys who go in and either negotiate the contract and defend the contract on behalf of the membership. But then there's this other unique side that I am now a part of, which is the communication side.
Okay.
Communications, and I've been fortunate. I've worn many hats in the organization over the years to where I've been on the administration side. I've been a local lodge president. I've been a vice president. I've been a financial secretary. I've also been a shop steward. I've also been a grievance committee officer, which is all representational. And throughout that, one of the things that I learned about myself was, as well as I wore all of the hats, the one thing within each of those hats that always was big with me was communication. How do I keep my members informed of everything that's going on? So being low-key, a creative, an artist of sorts with a camera, I'm fairly decent, if I toot my own horn, with taking photographs and being able to tell stories through photojournalism and imagery. And being a writer, I write pretty well. So I took over a local lodge website. I took over our local lodge social media platforms. And one of the things that I was always taught by the OGs that I grew up in my neighborhood is always operate as if someone's paying attention, because 9 times out of 10, someone is. And so my work on the local level really got noticed. And the last election that I was in for a grievance committee position, I lost my slot by like 8 votes. And the blessing in that, it was a very stressful job. Being a union rep, as like representing the people, it could be very stressful. I took a lot of that home. The household suffered quite a bit. I suffered. And so not getting reelected for that, it hurt. I ain't gonna front. My ego was bruised a little bit, because part of me was like, damn, you know, I put my life on the line, so to say, for these folks, and they can't even come out how you lose election by 8 votes, bro. So, but once again, that's politics. That's a whole other story. Right. But I truly was able to tap into my true like purpose and passion, which is communication, man, telling stories and giving people information. And so not being reelected for that opened up this opportunity where I was approached for basically a tryout. They brought me on full time in November for a trial period. And really, I think that was mainly to see if I meshed with the other guys, because we are essentially a 3-man team. Meshed well with them. Low key, I had already been working with them on some projects, kind of like some side consulting, helping out with different things. So I'd already developed relationships there. And so the permanent offer was presented to me in April of this year. So I was essentially taken away from the Charlotte airport in November and told in April, hey, bro, you ain't got to go back.
Praise God to
that. So, yeah, I mean, and you know, the airport is very hellacious for everybody, honestly. Because one thing about me, I do believe in keeping my face card good. Even though I am not a part of the shop floor, as we call it, in unionism, I still show my face when I'm not on the road, when I'm not in Chicago at my home office working from there. I come back to Charlotte Airport and I walk the break rooms the same way I did when I was a representative. Now as a communicator, because once again, when I walked to those break rooms, part of my job as being a representative was to communicate with the membership about what's going on with grievances, what's going on with the hot issues that we are currently battling the company on behalf of the union membership. So now I walk those break rooms, still communicating, but more or less communicating from a space of not always necessarily specific to an issue, but more of a broad thing. Like, this is what the union is currently working on from a broad space, because my union, we don't just represent at American Airlines, we also represent at United Airlines, Spirit, Hawaiian, and that's just from my district, District 141. District 142 also represents at American. They handle mechanic and related, and then they have Southwest, PSA Airlines. So District 141, District 142, shout out to y'all. We are very big in the air transport division of the machinist union. So
so it's a big network pretty much.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
They all do intertwine with each other.
Very much so. Very much so. So like one of the things, and this is why building relationships is important. And another reason why I think, or why I know even they knew I was a good fit for this position, was because being a localized president that had members in both District 141 and 142, I had to build relationships across both sides of the aisle. So, and when you got good relationships, they go with you, no matter how you rise in your career and personal life. When you have good relationships with people, they go with you. And I'm telling you, one thing I know for sure, this is my third contract negotiation in my career that I'm about to, we're about to start negotiating in the next year or so. Relationships are very important during a contract negotiation. You have to lean on other people within your industry and other carriers, as we call them, within the union that are unionized, to support each other. Because we live by a principle of leapfrogging. We always want to, we always want to set the tone of what the industry is. So the last negotiations was United Airlines. I personally, and really everybody, we wanted United Airlines to become the highest paid in our industry, because that sets the tone for when we go to the negotiating table.
Yeah.
Okay. American Airlines cannot present proposals that are going to be below this threshold because we live on what we call an industry average, an industry norm. And so, yeah, I love it when other airlines get pay raises because when it's my turn, hey player, if you ain't coming here, don't even talk to me.
Yeah.
You know,
that's real.
So, but once again, a lot of that is built off relationship. It's knowing what's going on. Like, yo, what y'all got over there? I ask guys from any airline that is fortunate to have a union. I don't even care what department is, customer service. Hey man, can you send me a PDF of your contract? I want to look at some things. I want to see what the pay scales look like, not just from a dollar amount, but what does that pay scale look like in terms of the time, right? Like how long of a pay scale? Is it a 5-year pay scale? Is it a 10-year pay scale to top out? Like these things are very important to the total compensation package. So that's what I do, y'all. In short, I work for the union.
And he loves it. You can see the enjoyment.
Yeah.
And how you would
nerd out on it, bro. I ain't gonna front. I nerd out it. And it's kind of got me gambling, or not gambling, but playing around with this ideology, y'all. I'm really thinking about going back to school, man, and because for my union, man, we have agreements with different schools, man, where I can get free school just for being a union member. So
that's
think about going back to school, man, to look more extensively into a master's degree in like labor studies, with mainly a concentration in trying to lead into like contract law. Straight up.
I was going to say it really sounds like it's legal based. So
yeah. It's, a lot of it's legal based. I don't necessarily want to say that I want to be an attorney,
right?
But I think in how I feel, I like dealing with arbitrations.
Arbitration, you gotta do a lot of litigating and all that.
Yeah. Like, and the reason why I like it is because when something goes to arbitration, if you are successful, it becomes precedent setting. And so when you win an arbitration, for example, we're looking at potentially winning an arbitration around our some changes that American Airlines made to our sick time policy. A couple years ago that negatively affect our membership, that we consider a violation of some articles in our contract. Being successful in that arbitration, what that now does is that overturns a lot of rulings that potentially people who may have been terminated attendance policy violation.
Really?
Because that is now, when the arbiter determines that what was done here was wrong and this is what should have been done, now forces the company to have to reopen those situations and quite possibly offer employment back or
back pay,
settlements, back pay, that type of thing. And so, like, a lot of people always ask the question, like, well, what is the union doing? And from a micro perspective, some people ask that question based on like their individual issue. And I hate to say this, a lot of times, man, people's individual issues aren't really contractual. Like the contract don't really talk about your issue. And I apologize, but that's not contractual. But on the macro scope, looking at things that are really legitimate contractual issues that affect the overall wages, benefits, and livelihood of folks' jobs, unions do a lot more than people really realize. And it's because unless you are a nerd like me, who the fuck really nerds out to read an arbitration brief that's as thick as fucking Sun Tzu's Art of War?
Yeah.
This guy. I like that type of shit.
Yeah.
I like, for the average person, we talk about arbitration, it's simple. Hey, man, did we win? Did we not win? Whereas me, even if we won or we didn't win, okay, well, why? Mm-hmm. Why did the arbitrator decide to rule in this way or that way?
Yeah.
And arbitrations get real in depth because you may not have won everything you wanted, but if they decide on these 5 things within the brief, right? Well, the win is the win. So,
yeah.
But that's the type of shit I nerd out on.
Wow.
Shit for breakfast.
So that, since we're talking about arbitrary and we're talking about, law, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to really ask you or go into depth, but did you see a influx in a lot of issues during the pandemic, as far as like getting the shot and all of that stuff, and people were y'all subjected to losing your job if you didn't get the shot?
So, hey man, this is very interesting. So, here's the deal: when you look at the way that the United States government ruled that, so what we have to look at when the shot became mandatory,
right?
Where the government pretty much got everybody is, it says if you operate a business that happens to be a contractor of the United States government of 100 employees or more, the shot is mandatory. So how does that translate for the airline? It's like, well, how does the airline, right, get involved with that? We deliver U.S. mail.
Oh.
So we are a contractor of the United States government.
Right.
Most people don't realize, and I'm giving y'all some secret sauce here. It's not secret. It really ain't. It's public knowledge, but most people just don't know that every major U.S. airline shuttles mail on behalf of the United States Postal Service in some capacity. And so, like when that overnight charge, how you think you get there overnight?
Right.
On an airline. The United States Post, think about it. Have you ever seen an airplane labeled United States Postal Service? Now, UPS got planes, FedEx got planes.
Yeah.
But the United States Postal Service doesn't own airlines, doesn't own airplanes. So how else do they get their mail across the country? It's a combination of air travel and trucking. So we are a contractor of the United States government, have been for a long time because of that. So, and we have more than 100 employees. So therefore, we fell into that category. So unfortunately, there's nothing in a contract that can supersede a government law. But what we can do is to, and the Sister Golden used it, is to mitigate the consequences on behalf of the membership. And so what we did diligently was to say, okay, for those who have an underlying thing, whether it be a religious belief, a medical reason why they can't take the shot, we need to negotiate what that backlash may look like.
Yeah.
And so we were successful in negotiating some things like for those who had legitimate religious things, and you had to be documented.
Yeah.
But what that looked like in terms of, not taking the shot. And so some of that, to give you an idea, looked like, daily or like bi-weekly testing, things like that, parameters. Don't get me wrong, we caught some backlash because a lot of our membership flat out was like, the union should just say absolutely not. And I feel you. I do. Right. We ain't got that power, bro. Honestly, once again, me being a union nerd, there's language. Anybody that has a union, if you look within the using the first article in your contract is like your scope language and definitions of who the parties are entering into this agreement, the company, the union, yada, yada, yada. And there's usually specific language that basically says that the language in this contract is not to supersede any local city or state government law or federal law, other than where it may be, I forgot the legal term, expressly substantiated. So an example of that, right? Because of the minimum wage base in an area like Los Angeles, employees who work in Los Angeles are not subject to the first step entry pay on the pay scale, because the local state laws of Los Angeles, city state laws of Los Angeles, require that they be paid at a certain minimum. Right? So that's why I say we can't hold these folks to this language in the contract, because there's state and city government law that says otherwise. And so what happened years ago, a lot of people would get hired in Charlotte. And this goes back years when like starting pay was like, wasn't even $15 an hour. Right? There was a point when starting pay for us was like $9.59. That's just, but and even less than that back in the day. But people would come to Charlotte, get hired in Charlotte at, $10, $11 an hour. Once they made probation, they would immediately put in a transfer to go to LA, to work in LA, because working in LA would put them automatically at that time, the 5-year progression. At that time, a 5-year guy made closer to like $17 an hour. So transferring to LA would take you from, you know what I'm saying? Would basically give you your 5-year increment immediately. That's dope. They worked, in LA and until they were at that point where they could transfer back to Charlotte, but they were still at that pay scale rate based on their seniority. So that's just an example of how, as much as we would like to be able to step in and fight every fight, there are just some fights that we just legally can't fight, because at the end of the day, you live in these great United States long enough, you realize ain't nobody bigger than Uncle Sam. So, So we caught some backlash, but overall, I would say that our membership was more or less okay with the fact that they understood that we couldn't completely stop the company from requiring people to get vaccinated, but we mitigated some things to say, if you have underlying causes or beliefs why you can't or won't, then we were able to mitigate what that, and I'm using air quotes, punishment might look like for you, right? So the interesting thing about it, though, is by the time all of that language got negotiated and dealt with, it was almost like nobody really cared anymore, because people were basically like, either take the shot, don't take the shot, right? Yeah. Right. So, and one thing I'd like to speak to, on this, what a lot of people don't know about, the airline during that time. Everybody remembers the PSP, the payroll support programming, where the government gave all this money to the airlines in order to keep their essential employees paid while they weren't making money. One airline in particular, United, they thought that they were going to get over by taking that money and then immediately making all employees part-time at United. And it was our union that stepped in and was like, whoa. You can't do that, because the fine print in y'all taking that money said that you could not adversely affect anyone's status of employment.
Yeah. Okay.
And legal definition of status of employment is not just pertaining to do you have a job, but also are you full-time or are you part-time? And so a lot of folks who were full-time, who were possibly going to be reduced to part-time, were able to remain full-time, but that only happened because the union fought for them. So there were a lot of microaggression fights that went on during that time that, my union specifically spent a lot of great deal of time fighting in DC. And those fights on Capitol Hill affected everybody system-wide at all of the airlines that we represent. So
I think this is key because a lot of people, I know at least with our unknown place of employment, is people they tend to shy away from the unions because they feel like sometimes they won't represent them. But something that you said was key is a lot of times people have issues that are non-contractual. And this is why, is it safe to say, is that why the representation can't be represented in the way that they would like, because it's an issue that, that's non-contractual?
Yeah. So here's the deal, right? And I use this example all the time. I'm going to get real specific. By contract, we have an Article 33 is our grievance procedure. And some of the language in that basically says if a member has been or feels that they were violated, they have the right to file a grievance. All right, cool. You can file a grievance. Key word though, English language, y'all, we got to read. It says, even if you feel. So what that means is we're going to file this grievance because you feel you were violated. Right. Part of the grievance procedure means we have to do what we have to investigate that grievance. If our findings find that there's no violation, hey, my brother, I'm sorry. There is no violation.
Yeah.
This is what we have a slogan, determining whether it's a gripe or a grievance, right? This officially is now a gripe. It sucked. I'm sorry that this happened. I'm sorry that, this has affected you. However, there's no contractual violation. And as I used to say when I was wearing that hat of representation, this grievance ain't got no teeth, bro. Like I can't. Part of my job goes back to the whole arbitration within filing grievances is to determine whether or not a grievance has enough merit that should we have to take this to arbitration? Because sometimes a company will just say, bump it. We're going to deny the grievance at every step. We want y'all to take it to arbitration. But we have to make that decision as union reps and those that sit at a certain level, because not every union rep can make this decision, but to say, does this grievance have enough merit to go to arbitration? Because arbitration costs $10,000 per side. So the union has to bring 10, the company has to bring 10 in order to pay that arbiter and their team to sit there and deliberate over this issue. So you're hedging $10,000 on. So you got to realize, like, is this a winnable grievance? And so that's on the contractual side. But a lot of people also get hurt because, let's be real, a lot of people don't want to be held accountable for their own bullshit.
That's correct.
And so I am talking to you. Yes, you, Timmy. I'm going to use your name, Timmy, if you're listening to this. Yes, you, Timmy, who calls out sick every payday and has established a pattern of calling out sick every payday. And you have racked up all of these occurrences. Hey, brother, you have a problem. We've tried to offer you EAP. You didn't take it. We've tried to offer you various things. You didn't take it. So this is a problem, bro. And there's nothing in this contract that I can use to fight on your behalf. You just don't want to be held accountable, because some people look at unions as the get out of jail free card. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Right.
And I never have to be held accountable for it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at a certain point, and this is one of the hardest jobs as a union rep that I've ever had, was to explain to an individual why their grievance it can't go no further. It's like, yo, bro. And I use attendance because attendance is one of the most like cut and dry things. Either you was at work or you wasn't.
Yeah.
Dog, they got all the evidence of you not being here. You don't have anything to offer a substantial reason as to why. So I'm sorry. Yeah. You're going to have to eat this write-up. And so people get like butthurt about that, and they immediately go into attack mode and be like, well, the union didn't do this, the union didn't do that. And we get stuck in this awkward position because as a union rep, I am dutifully bound by the law. I can't discuss Timmy's a case with nobody. Like, as many times as a union rep, I wish I would have had the ability to stand up in the break room and be like, nah, let me lay out all the receipts. Well, I can't do that because now Timmy has more grounds to sue me personally and sue the union for disclosing his business.
So let me ask you something. Have you like fell out with people or lost friendship behind their cases not going in their favor?
Every day. I had an individual who, which that's a whole nother thing. Adversity will tell you who really is your folks and not. But
that's correct.
Had an individual who felt they were done wrong because they did not do their badging in time, right? There's a window you have to renew your badge, or else, your badge.
You can't come to work.
Can't come to work.
Yeah, you ain't gonna be able to work.
And so, which our badging renewal process is crazy as fuck. But they really wanted me to spin this story of the company did not inform them to go get their fingerprints done when they turned in their badge renewal paperwork. Now, here's the key. This wasn't a new person. They have been at the company for 10 years at the time.
Wow.
And at that time, we were renewing badges every 2 years, which means you've been through 5 renewals. So the first 4, no one ever called you and told you to go get your fingerprints done. But now all of a sudden you need someone to call you and tell you that. They wanted me as a union rep to stand there and basically say that American Airlines should have called them and told them that they need to go get their fingerprints done the same day that they did their paperwork, or else their badging renewal process wouldn't go through. Hey, bro, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. Hey, so man, just say what it is. You got caught slipping this time, homie.
It's accountability type of thing.
Accountability.
Yeah.
Needless to say, that individual, they've seen me, and we, once used to shoot the shit and laugh it up a little bit. It's awkward, but it's cool. That's a them problem because I didn't do anything other than what I was supposed to.
Yeah.
Filed a grievance. I investigated it, and the findings, basically, they had to be held accountable for their... Listen, bro, they say what it is, bro. You forgot. And truth be told, I think we probably would have been more successful at getting what we call relief on that grievance.
If he admitted it.
And he just admitted, hey, bro, I fucked up. I forgot. The company probably would have been like, you know what? All right, we'll tell you what. We ain't gonna hit you in the head too hard, But didn't want to be held accountable. So I've lost acquaintances in that nature. And then, like anything, as you rise through the ranks of things, I've also lost some friends and acquaintances who I guess feel that I don't deserve the position and positions that I've risen through. It's cool. I learned that's more of a them thing. That ain't me. Because, hey man, we all make a choice. I made a choice to get involved with this union thing and put my time in and be a student of it. A lot of studying. The thing that a lot of people don't realize about me is I have, my union is fortunate. We have a complete education facility up in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, near our headquarters. We run it where you go and you get taught how to be a union rep from all the different facets that I talked about: administration, representation. You learn a lot. I have consistently gone to that school at least once a year, if not some. There have been some years where I've gone 3 times in a year since like 2012, 13. We have a complete leadership program from Leadership 1 all the way through Train to Trainer. I've done that. I've done the women's leadership programs. Yes, me, a man, I have done the women's leadership program. But some people say, well, why is that? Well, looking at the projections of what's going on in the world, women are growing exponentially in every industry. And so the key is to create a safe space where the women that I work with feel empowered to step into leadership roles. So I went to women's leadership to be an advocate, to create safe space for women to want to ask questions about leadership roles within the union and how they can get involved. So, but I've done a lot of training, a lot of schooling, and as they say, I have studied and shown myself approved. So, but all that to say, those individuals who might have a little taste of haterade in them, that's a personal thing because they didn't take an opportunity to step out on faith and, be in the same arena, that I'm in. So,
right. Real. Man, so
it's funny, a financial episode.
But this ain't about to be the last time we got you. So,
no, absolutely not.
Keep
man.
that content for future episodes. I think this is a serious one right here, where people, tend to not place a lot of importance in unions and how important they are in the workplace and how they can help you. But it also comes down to you have to hold yourself accountable as well as hold them accountable.
Yeah, absolutely.
You fuck up. You fucked up.
Here's the thing. Me, and I use myself. I fucked up majorly. One time as a union rep, I had a guy who came to me, legitimate grievance, bro, where he was owed like 2 days of overtime. At the time, I was wearing 2 hats. I was a grievance officer and I was the local lodge president. There was a lot of shit going on. And our grievance procedure, we had these time limits where paperwork has to be filed, so many days. And if you miss your time limits, you're done. Miss the time limit. Cost this man 2 days of overtime. So what I had to do, I had to swallow my pride. I had to man up and basically go to the man and say, yo, I fucked up, bro. We had a winnable grievance. So I fucked up because I missed the deadline. And I was like on some bro, I did the math. I'm bro, I pay you out of my pocket cash, right? I wanted to make it right.
Yeah.
And what I respected about it was the fact that he was like, nah, bro. He said, yo, shit happens. He said, I appreciate you owning up, and letting me know, and not just letting it linger, but he's like, it's cool. And this is what he said. He said, I work, because it was the thing where he got bypassed overtime. He said, I work and sign up for so much overtime, they're going to bypass me again. So we're going to try again.
Yeah.
3 weeks later, same situation, but this time I was on it. I got the man paid, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But so that's the thing, the union, we hold ourselves accountable because we have to, because there's legal recourse if we don't.
Right.
Our membership, not so much, but that it comes with the job. You have people who can and who won't hold themselves accountable, and you just deal with it accordingly. You just know that that's a them thing and not a you thing, because one thing about it is, through all the documentation, I can always prove that the union has done everything that they can. Sometimes you hit a brick wall. So, and interestingly enough, though, the mindset on unionism is very regional in the South compared to the North, and East-West too, because there's just a lot of cultural indifference, I should say, towards unions based on where you are geographically. The South has a somewhat of a rigid past with unionism that my personal opinion, and I've said there's so many panels that I've sat on within our union, until the South deals with its ugly past within unionism, it's going to be hard for us to progress in this region as a whole. Not just my union, but every union that has membership in the South. When we talk about union density and getting more people to be in a union or be involved in a union, we have to look at the ugly past that, you know, the South has had within unionism, because for a long time, unions were shunned away in the South due to the ramifications. You know, people were killed for wanting to be involved in the unions, particularly like in the agricultural industry. However, unionism took an uptick in the South when all of a sudden, unfortunately, they saw that they could uphold Jim Crow laws by flying it underneath the flag of unionism, so where they would not allow people of color to be union members. That was a way to keep Black folks out of jobs. But, you know, unions fought internally and got right leaders in order to overcome those obstacles. However, as we know, you got to deal with where you've been in order to know where you're going. So,
right.
But overall, the last graph that I looked at, union density is creeping up little bit by little bit, and a lot of that is due to the fact that post-COVID, a lot of people are now seeing the benefit to being in a union, and how when you look at a lot of us who were fortunate to make it like financially through COVID, a lot of us were tied to a union. Now, we might have been considered essential and we still had to take our ass to work, but our wages and our benefits and things like that were protected due to us having union contracts. And so there's a lot, the MIT did a poll about a year ago, and there was this exponential figure. I forgot exactly. I want to say it was above the 50 percentile of folks who saw the value in unionism and wanted to be a part of a union. So we've seen, due to that, a lot of unions have now upped their budgets around strategic organizing, going in to organize different jobs. And so like my union specifically, we were the first union to ever organize an Apple store. There's an Apple store in Maryland where the retail employees at that store are a part of my union through our retail sector. My union was the first union to organize lobster fishermen up in Maine. So there's all this room for growth that people want a union. I think the biggest thing is that people don't want to give an employer the ability to just change everything overnight, right?
Yeah.
Unionism is not a fail-safe. It's not perfect. However, as someone, my last job, before I got into this airline industry, I found out that I was being laid off after Labor Day weekend in 2008. I went in to go get my pay stub, and they was like, yeah, we just cut your position.
Dang.
And I was like, okay, I don't really like that. That ain't cool. So having the protection of a union contract that basically, you know, tells an employer that, yo, you can't just cut the job. You gotta, you know, there are things that they have to do. There's a process, and which I learned a tidbit too. Like even that old job, had I, you know, knowing what I know now versus then, I actually had grounds for a lawsuit because there's actual legislation. It's called the Warren Act. Workers, I forgot. I mean, bottom line, the Warren is an acronym, and it basically says that an employer has to give a minimum of 60 days notice of a job closure and stuff like that. And so I actually helped a gentleman who was affected by a situation like that with a furniture company back home where I'm from in Highport, North Carolina, where like overnight 2,000 employees were like laid off. Like even like the truck drivers that were delivering their routes were told, park the truck Here's a ticket, an airline ticket to get back home. Don't worry about the truck. We'll get it. Job is done. CEO went into Paris and went into hiding. But a lot of those people were able to seek legal resolve because that company violated the Warren Act and did not give proper notice. So, it's a little tidbit of information for folks out there that even if you don't necessarily have a union, there is some government stuff that offers some protection, and something is better than nothing.
Yeah. Man, that's a boatload of information, man. I think that's going to change the minds of a lot of people in a lot of different workplaces. Like,
hey, man.
Me, I've always thought that any representation is better than no representation.
Right.
And I've always had a different view when it comes to the union. I always thought they were good. I thought it's the individual. You have to, like I said, you have to hold them accountable. If the representative is not doing what they got to do, you got to hold that person accountable. It can reflect on the whole union system, but just know that they are here to represent you.
Right.
So,
yeah,
man, that was we're going to get you back, We're going to do another one.
Brother.
That's
Absolutely.
without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt, man. But let's wrap this one up. With that being said, this is your boy, Comedic Energy.
It's your girl, Golden.
Your boy, Cray.
Hey, my boy.
Special guest.
Yeah.
Blue. Hey, man, appreciate y'all for having me as always, man.
Hey, man, we appreciate you, dog.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And remember, this is produced by Livewire Sound and Entertainment. Peace out, peoples. Livewire Sound and Entertainment. If you're looking to rent premium sound equipment for your next concert or podcast at a low price, go to www.livewiresoundent.com. Dirty Mouth Radio. Ear to the streets.